To give you a good side-by-side size comparison between the three different models, I've laid them out in order of power. In the front is the oldest model, which is a 500 foot-pound version, followed by a 600, and then finally the 700 foot-pound version. Now I want to point out right off the bat, the two lower power units do have the directional change switches behind them, and that adds to the overall length. With the 700 foot-pound version does have an upgraded design with the directional change switch directly behind the trigger. The grips on them are also going to be different. With the two lower powered units, it's an overmold grip that's rubbery and it feels much like a drill. Where the 700 foot-pound version, even though it does look rubbery, it's not. It's a very hard plastic and it doesn't have that non-slip ability of these two. And finally, let's talk about the overall size on them. The smallest by far is going to be the 600 foot-pound version, but it's also the most heavy. The head is going to be thicker and the overall unit is going to be longer. So where you gain additional length right here, you're going to lose in width as well as overall length of the entire tool. With the 700 foot-pound version, we also have 3 speeds in both directions. And you can change it from forward or reverse simply by moving this tab up and down. Now this is currently set up for right-handed use. You can take this apart, move that over, and easily set it up for left-handed use. So it's going to work exactly the same way in either direction, but out of the box, this is the way it's going to come. Now if we want to change the power levels in either forward or reverse, you see this little tab here that rotates 1 through 3 on either direction. And you can see speed mode 1 or power mode 1 is going to be a low speed. So if you pull the trigger in all the way, it's going to not be applying maximum torque. Now if we pop that up to speed setting 2, it's going to be a medium speed. And then finally speed mode 3 is going to be full power. When we take a look at one of the Migthy 7 stubbies next to a full-size impact, which in this case is an Ingersoll Rand 231, which many of you probably already own, you're going to see how this will be able to get into those very tight situations where this one just will not work. Now this is the 500 foot-pound version. That becomes even more apparent when we look at the 600 foot-pound version because it is even shorter. Now this is going to have a little bit of extra weight, but it's not going to weigh nearly as much as a full size. And then for that extra power, we can bump up to the 700 foot-pound model. It's not quite as short, but it's still much smaller than a full-size impact. Now to do a torque test with all 3 impacts, I'll be using a Skidmore Wilhelm Model R with a 1 1/4 inch bolt and a 2-inch nut. With this combination, we can accurately measure bolt tension in pounds up to 110,000. And you'll take that number, divide it by 70, and it's going to give you an actual torque rating. So what we'll do are 3 different runs on each of the impacts, alternating them between each run. Each one will be a 15-second run time at 90 psi of working pressure. So we'll look for consistent readings. We'll take an average out of the 3 runs, divide it by 70, and that's going to give us our average working torque rating. But what I've done is one additional step. I've put a reverse thread nut and bolt in here. They're all going to be in reverse, and we're going to see the real numbers that you'll expect on a daily basis. Now I do want to point out, we'll compare that number to the advertised working torque ratings, and we'll see if it's at the same level, if it's below, or if it comes in above it. Now one additional thing, in between each run I will be cleaning off all the lubrication off the washer face, the back of the nut, as well as the threads on the bolt, and replacing it with a fresh coating of R-0050 test bolt lube from Skidmore Wilhelm. This is specifically designed to work with this unit, and it's how we're going to get those very accurate results. Okay, we got through all the testing and the numbers were very consistent through each run. The 4611 ranged anywhere from 32,000 to 33,000 pounds of bolt tension, with an average of 32,333. Divide that by a factor of 70 because of the nut and bolt combination we're using, and it comes up with an actual working torque rating of 462 foot-pounds. Their advertised working torque rating was 350 foot-pounds, so we achieved 132% of the advertised total. The 4630 was even more. It came in between 36,000 and 37,000 pounds of bolt tension, with an average of 36,500. Divide that by a factor of 70, we came out with an actual working torque rating of 521 foot-pounds. And compared to their rating of 350 foot-pounds, we achieved 149% of their advertised totals. And finally, the 4232 ranged anywhere from 30,500 to 31,500 pounds of bolt tension, with an average of 31,167. Divide that by a factor of 70, it came out with an actual working torque rating of 445 foot-pounds. Compared to their numbers of 400 foot-pounds, we still achieved 111% of the advertised rating.